President Buhari renews commitment to bringing back all remaining Chibok school girls held by terrorists.
Adamawa clashes. Inspector General of Police deploys additional personnel to track down perpetrators.
Anti-Corruption Crusade National Judicial Council Committee to partner EFCC and ICPC in furtherance of its mandate.
And on Good Morning Nigeria today, our focus is on the sale of migrants in Libya, which many have described as the second slave trade.
Now, the world was outraged last week when America's cable news network, that's the CNN Special Freedom Project, exclusively revealed how African migrants, including Nigerians, were being auctioned into slavery in Libya. Now, the highest price per person was put at $400, or roughly in Nigerian currency, that's about 150,000 naira, of course, according to the video.
Well, yes, Clive. I mean, the video, of course, showed what many have described now as a despicable and dehumanizing scene of able-bodied African migrants who were being sold in the open market as slaves in the North African country. Now, the video also quite generated instant international reactions and protests, and of course then forced the Libyan government to respond.
Of course, Kingsley, it must also be said that the Nigerian media, has persistently reported West African migrants were being sold in modern-day slave markets in Libya. Now, that's based on information from the United Nations International Organization for Migration. It is also estimated that there are over 700,000 to 1 million migrants in Libya. Unfortunately, more than 2,000 of them have died at sea this year alone.
That's right, Claire. Now, the horror many Nigerian youths pass through in their desperate bid to reach Europe through the Sahara Desert and North Africa can better be imagined. Now, the human trafficking gangs who normally would lure young Nigerians, male and female, educated and not so educated, to Libya, do so under false pretense of a better life outside the shores of Nigeria.
Indeed, Kingsley, now the migrants, many of them first-time travelers with no skills whatsoever or proper arrangements as to how to survive in a foreign land, pay as much as 500,000 naira in a blind chase for greener pasture abroad. Now, a good number of them are too broken or never lived to tell the story.
Usually, their journey begins with a treacherous trek through vast stretches of desert land onto Libya, and then they get themselves to brave the Mediterranean Sea, usually on rickety boats or other dingy rides, headed towards Europe. Well, it's a struggle to survive in one of the several overcrowded detention centers run again by smugglers on the Libyan coast. Now, many would-be travelers have perished while taking this perilous journey. According to the United Nations, forced labor, sexual abuse and torture are widespread in the detention centers.
And Kingsley, unfortunately, teenage girls are the most victims, of course, in those slave houses. We understand are run mostly by Nigerian human trafficking kingpins with, of course, foreign collaborators. Now, in Tripoli, for instance, over 100 girls, mostly teenage sex slaves, are crammed in, dingy hostels, with each girl attending to about 15 customers a day at 10 dinar. That's the Libyan currency. That's about 1,000 naira each. But all the proceeds, of course, go to their tax masters. Very unfortunate.
Well, many of the victims, as we have indicated and as reports have also shown, barely survive the ordeal. And those indeed who survive, rescued and repatriated to Nigeria, suffer emotional and psychological trauma, including, of course, loss of self-esteem. Now, many of the girls who have also returned home have done so with children.
All right.
Now, as one writer indicated, The transatlantic slave trade, which ended over 200 years ago in both America and the UK, this is being replicated now in terms of the second version that we are seeing across the Sahara. This may very well be described, therefore, as the trans-Sahara slave trade. And unfortunately, as they say, it's been masterminded by our own kith and kin, fellow Nigerians trafficking in fellow Nigerians.
Kingsley, when you talked about trans-Saharan, indeed there was trans-Saharan, slave trade in the past. This probably would be better captured as trans-African, so that, we bring it home, because this is something that is being perpetrated by Africans upon Africans.
That's right. The Sahara is in Africa.
It is, you're right. And if I may add to the questions that you have raised, what drives this second slavery, as of course everyone, have rightly, put it. Why has the problem, or why is the problem blossoming rather than abating? How would you rate the response of national governments and the international community to these rising problems? These are very, very pertinent questions. We will try to look into this morning on today's edition of the program. It's Good Morning Nigeria from wherever you're watching. And over the weekend, Kingsley, I spoke to a couple of viewers, who said, look, we watch you every day. We make this show our breakfast program. And of course, to all of you, I say thank you and welcome once again to another fresh edition of the program. It's happening live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA. I am Claire Adilabu Abdul-Razak.
And I'm Kingsley Osadolo. I join Claire in also welcoming you to today's edition of the program. And as Claire just indicated, we of course appreciate the views of our viewers, that's the comments of our viewers with regard to the kudos that they give to Good Morning Nigeria. Not just those of us who are on set, but of course to the entire team. It's a big team out there. You see them usually behind the scenes, not usually on the screen. Keep watching. The program runs from 7 a.m. until just about 5 minutes to 9. It's a 2-hour program, and we understand, of course, that it's remained the leading breakfast program on Nigerian television stations. And indeed, of course, the NTA is Africa's largest television network. As always, in the course of the program, we shall bring you our companion segments: newspaper review, business, sports, and foreign. We're kicking off right now, and our colleague is also here with us on set to give us the news.
Indeed, Kingsley.
Joy Osiagu.
Indeed, Joy, you have been in Europe. Of course, you spent over a decade there, and that's because you were there on legitimate assignment, and you've seen it all. I'd just like to ask and inquire from you, is it really all gold in Europe?
I tell you, Claire, it is not. There are jobs made for those who live there, and not for people who decide to leave their countries and go there in very illegitimate ways. And I think there's need for advocacy back home. I guess that will put us on the right footing. Good morning and welcome to the news. President Muhammadu Buhari has renewed his commitment to bring back all Chibok girls held by terrorists operating in the Northeast using all possible means. A statement by Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Malam Garba Shehu, said the President expressed appreciation over the progress made in the rehabilitation of the 106 of those freed now back in school. The President, who was reviewing the progress report submitted to him, in line with his commitment to personally monitor the rehabilitation and reintegration into society of the freed Chibok girls, also gave assurances that government will provide full support for their education. To this end, the President approved payment of the sum of more than 164 million naira for the second semester school fees of the 106 Chibok girls at the American University of Nigeria in Yola. According to the progress report received by the President, the decision to pursue avenues in addition to military action to free the abducted Chibok girls is in the resolve to protect the lives of all Nigerians, to end the insurgency in the northeast of the country, and to fulfill one of the campaign promises of the President. The absorption of the 106 girls into the school marked the beginning of the integration into the larger Nigerian society, thus fulfilling President Buhari's promise of providing the best education for them. Although the girls were officially handed over to their parents, the federal government will continue to be responsible for the payment of the school fees right up through their graduation from the school. 5 police mobile units comprising 63 policemen each have been deployed to areas affected by the farmers-herdsmen clash in Numan local government area of Adamawa State. Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris disclosed this while commiserating with Governor Umar Jibrila at Government House, Eola.
In addition, obviously, we are going to sort of assist also the command that made the state, in the investigation of this incident, because I believe that for this incident to be thoroughly investigated so that those ugly incidents do not repeat itself again.
And in the wake of the lingering security challenges in recent times in Adamawa State, the state government has organized a town hall meeting to tackle the security issues.
Some information that are very vital. These information will be processed into intelligence, and I will assure you that the first set of point of reference that your judicial commission will lay hands on will be the result of this.
The National Judicial Council Committee on the Monitoring of Alleged Corruption Cases in Courts has reiterated its commitment to partner the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission and Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission in furtherance of its mandate. A statement by the Director Information Sojuye indicates that the committee has received 2,306 ongoing alleged corruption cases, which are now receiving attention from the 4 subcommittees it has been divided into. The committee also divided the country into 3 zones for ease of monitoring and evaluation of the said cases, with Zone A as Abuja, Zone B, Northern Zone, and Zone C, Southern Zone. Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Walter Onogen, had directed the heads of courts to designate courts and judges that will solely handle the ongoing trials on daily basis to fast-track all pending alleged corruption cases. The traditional institution in Niger State has continued to promote alternative dispute resolution between herdsmen and host communities, particularly farmers.
We are here for them. We have the ward heads, we have the village heads, and I believe the issue will be settled amicably.
If there's any problem or crisis, they report to us immediately. And we always try our best to solve the problem between them, and we continue to ensure peace to reign in our domain, in our local government at large.
The way out is we are trying by all means to make sure we coordinate meetings with both parties, that is the Pilanis and the Guadis, so that we see the way forward.
The United Nations Population Fund says its new program commencing in 2018 is focused on ensuring that more women and young girls are protected as well as have access to better health services. The country representative Jenny Keita, while unveiling the 2017 State of the World Population Report in Abuja, assured of continuous commitment in decreasing maternal mortality in the country.
As a major factor, as a major determinant in terms of whether someone is going to have access to contraceptives and prevent unnecessary death.
Because we still have 16% of an unmet need. If we can even meet that 16% unmet need, it will create a kind of demand from other women who will say, so this is working.
The federal government is achieving a remarkable success in its new focus to make manufacturing a vibrant sector for the social and economic development of the country. The success is manifesting in the ongoing project of the National Housing Program.
Our aim actually for the National Housing Program is to have 100% local materials as much as possible.
The project is one of the promises in Mr. President to provide just for the friends. And as you can see there, we see Nigeria is in action.
That's the news for now. Good morning, Nigeria. We'll be back with Claire and Kingsley after this break.
Unemployment, notably youth unemployment, features strongly in our party's manifesto. We intend to attack the problem frontally through revival of agriculture.
The 30K is going a long way. Actually, I bought an acre of land for 60K like 2012, and presently I have a cassava farm and a yam farm.
Whenever pain occurs, you want quick relief. Try new Nurofen Express. It goes to the source of pain and gets to work in under 15 minutes. That's why Nurofen Express delivers fast and effective relief. New Nurofen Express works at the source of pain. Fast.
Being a mom is great, but when your child has a fever, you don't know what to do. I trust Nurofen for Children to take care of my child's pain and fever.
Effective relief you can trust.
Babe, what's up? What you doing?
I'll call you back.
Hey, babe, what you doing? What you doing? What you doing?
Hello, baby. Even see your cocoa. Even Uncle is here.
Get 10 times your recharge value to call and browse anyhow. Recharge with *220 star the pin hash to enjoy this offer. Available to new and existing subscribers.
Baby, what you doing?
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Helen! Your kitchen gets 10 out of 10. Thank you. This also gets a 10. Should we see the toilet now? Sure. This gets just 1.
It is clean.
But not perfect 10.
Better than my detergent and bleach? Impossible.
Challenge? Try the new Apic 10X.
Compared to bleach and detergent, Apic sticker formulation removes yellow stains times better, giving you a sparkling clean toilet.
Wow.
Now you also take that
Apic 10X challenge.
Also available in 200 ml pack.
Your perfect family is under threat by germs. Infectious diseases are now the world's biggest killer of adults and children. Every day, 16,000 children under the ages of 5 and thousands of adults die from infectious diseases. These infectious diseases are caused by germs. They are everywhere. An average human being comes in contact with over 1 million germs daily. In unclean water, dirty surfaces, in the toilet, on cuts and wounds, on your clothes. Germs can cause deadly diseases like typhoid, diarrhea, flu, and cough. To protect your family from germs, use the power of Dettol's 1 Cap Full for surface cleaning in your bathing water, in your laundry water, for first aid to protect your family from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Be Dettol Sure. Endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association.
Kehinde suffers from indigestion. His twin Taiyi suffers from heartburn. Sometimes it's the other way around or both. That's why they use Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes within 3 minutes and lasts for up to 4 hours. For double relief from heartburn and indigestion, Gaviscon Double Action.
All right, you're welcome back. If you just joined us, it's still Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Now it's time for us to take a look at the business world. The Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, that's NDIC, is warning against the risk of trading with digital currencies. Our correspondent Amina Nujaim has details of these stories and others.
Good morning and welcome to Business News. The attention of the Federal Ministry of Finance has been drawn to attempts by some importers and non-governmental organizations to malign the ministry over claims of refusing to grant duty waivers in respect of drugs, health commodities and related equipment donated by Global Fund. This was contained in a statement signed by Director of Information, Federal Ministry of Finance, Salisuna Inadambata. The statement further said there are laid down statutory procedures governing the granting of import duty waivers to importers and NGOs, which constitute measures put in place to check abuses of federal government fiscal incentives and put a halt to rampant corrupt practices. And this week, precisely the 30th of November 2017, oil producing exporting countries OPEC will meet to determine whether to sustain the present cuts in production or further deepen the cuts in order to retain both market share and possible beat up oil prices. Data so far from OPEC monthly publication stated that global crude oil demand rose from 96.3 million barrels per day in the second quarter of 2017 to 97.7 million barrels per day in the third quarter. This reflects 1.4% growth in global demand for crude in the third quarter when compared to previous quarters. This is due to gradual improvement in the macro environment in Europe and Southeast Asia. The total supply of crude oil in the third quarter stood at 96.4 million barrels per day, making it the highest production of crude in 2017 as it grew by 1.2% on a quarterly basis. This increase was on the heel of improved production in OPEC countries like Libya and Nigeria, fused with increased activity in the Gulf of Mexico. Meanwhile, over the past few years, there has been growing proliferation of the use of digital currency, a case in point, Bitcoin. However, the Nigerian Deposit Insurance Corporation, NDIC, the country's financial sector insurance regulator, has cautioned Nigerians against the risk of trading with digital currencies not issued by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. The Director of Research Policy and International Relations, NDIC, Mohammed Umar, said that the mandate of the corporation does not include providing insurance cover to risks associated with trading with digital currencies not issued by CBN. Mohammed Umar was speaking at a two-day annual workshop for business editors and finance correspondents, Financial Disruption of Digital Currency and its Consequences on the Banking and Deposit Insurance System. He stressed that Nigerians must understand that adequate notice has been issued by all financial sector regulatory authorities to warn Nigerians who want to trade in bitcoins. And from the equities market, the OSHA index closed on a positive territory on Friday, the 24th of November 2017. Next is a graphic summary. And that's it on Business News for now on Good Morning Nigeria. I am Amina Nujaim.
All right, many thanks to you, Amina, for the business package. We're moving on now on Good Morning Nigeria. Newspaper review is coming up shortly.
Baya Toby, newspaper reviewer, is right here with us in the studios for today's edition. Baya, morning and welcome to the program.
Thank you, Kinsley. Good morning. Yes. Good morning, Claire.
Good morning.
And good morning, Nigeria.
Okay.
All right, we have a number of stories on the front pages, but politics appears to be dominant on the front pages of most of the papers that we have with us. The Punch leads with it. It says, with a kicker, presidential ticket, Atiku won't disregard Jonathan's advice on Obasanjo, says aid. Atiku won't disregard Jonathan's advice on Obasanjo, says aid. With a rider, ex-vice president resigned from APC since October the 18th. That's according to findings the paper is reporting in greater detail on page 7. Now, politics is also the lead story for this day newspaper, both the lead and the second lead. This day newspaper mid-page says Adeniro, Agbaje and Daniel emerged front runners in PDP chairmanship race. And just above that is the headline also on Atiku. It says, in readiness for return, Atiku meets with PDP bigwigs in Northeast, and pressure mounts on 2 APC governors to defect. That story on Atiku and politics is the second base story also on the front page of the Independent newspaper. We're not sure if you can see that on the screen right now, but well, if you can see that, we'll okay, that's right. Second list story that's near the bottom of bottom half of the front page. Atiku settles for PDP, meets party leaders in the Northeast with 2 riders to meet McCarthy-led NCC and PDP National Assembly members this week. He left APC more than a month ago.
Ainsley, I don't think I should take any of that story because the papers I have, the Nigerian Pilot and the New Telegraph, also lead with the Atiku story. So, Bayo.
Yes, well, that is dominating the story. Actually, the story broke on Friday that he has resigned, and he said after consultation with God, family and supporters, and specifically Nigerian people of all walks of life, he has decided to resign from his membership of the All Progressive Congress. However, the party in Jada local government confirmed that they received his resignation letter dated October 18th. And if you look at it, the moves have not been taking anybody by surprise. From all indications, what he said was that the APC has become draconian and clamped down on all forms of democracy within the party. Governors in the APC have reacted. Governor El-Rufai and Governor Ganduje of Kano State have reacted. Governor El-Rufai said they are not surprised about it, but it is his right and he's free to move anywhere he wants. Governor Ganduje described him as a serial defector. If you look at his political history, he has been a member of the SDP. Particularly, he was the strong man in the SDP during the time of late General Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, and then from there he went into the PDP. To be sure, what happened to him in the SDP will not happen to him in PDP. He contested and won the governorship seat in Adamawa. That's so far the only single seat election he has won on his own. However, as vice president to former President Olusegun Obasanjo, they jointly won the presidency on 2 occasions. But he has moved between PDP, PDM, and also APC, and apparently there are already indications that he will be moving into PDP. In fact, there are reports that the caucus of the People's Democratic Party in the Northeast have been holding meetings with him. But if you look at it, devoid of political ideology and philosophy, Nigerian politicians seems to be bread and butter politics. That is my own description. Everybody tends to go where their bread will be best buttered. You can describe them as chameleonic. They fuse into any atmosphere that furthers their interests.
All right, Bayo, well thanks. Atiku is not exactly a poor person, so bread and butter?
Well, bread and butter is where your interest will be best buttered, not necessarily looking for money. Your political realization, the ideals you want to, or the office you want to seek to, where it will best be realized. Yeah. But the chameleonic nature is that it challenges our political institutions. You cannot establish that this is the philosophy of this political party. Most of them are wavering between welfarism and progressivism. But if you look at the 2 dominant parties, these are all politicians, and you know,
politicians would always move. Yes, politic in furtherance of the ambition. So let's move on to other stories.
Yes. Claire, if you have others. Punch newspaper, above the nameplate of the Punch newspaper, we take 2 headlines from there. Federal government targets 62.5 billion naira from luxury cars and alcohol duties. Federal government targets 62.5 billion naira from luxury cars and alcohol duties. And then Lucha's trial, NJC panel to meet EFCC and ICPC gets 2,306 ongoing cases. That's on page 7. And then, of course, you have other stories there on the front page. Now, let's look very quickly at the foot of the front page of the Punch newspaper, above the strip advert that you have there. It says, outage cripples hospitals and business in Kaduna community. And Buhari okays 164.7 million naira tuition fees for Chibok girls in Atikus University. That's on page 12. And Boko Haram kills 3 soldiers in Borono. Details of that story can be found on page 12.
All right, let's quickly take some business reports now, just trending at the bottom of the Nigerian pilot. Okay, this one says youth group shops for Kogi governor's replacement. It's on page 6 there. On page 27, this is what you will call, or Kingsley would rather call, printer's mischief. It says AIDS, but right inside the, of course, pilot, it says VADES. That's the voluntary assets and income declaration scheme.
It's not a printer's mischief.
It's not.
It's a printer's devil.
Printer's devil.
It's a devil, not a mischief.
The devil that owns the printer.
So it's actually AIDS here, but it's VADES. Now, federal government deploys it.
I thought perhaps they should have looked, for a better acronym by rearranging the words so that there's no mistake between VADES and AIDS. By the time you delete the V, then it gives you
it's completely different.
Honestly, but of course the story is that the Minister of Finance has deployed over 1,700 community tax liaison officers to 33 states. And quickly, we have just less than a minute. CBN NDIC push banks to return to Northeast. I don't know, Kingsley, you've got other stories?
Well, there's a story on the business, it's on the business, it's also on the front page of This Day newspaper. This Day newspaper, let's take that. It says, above the nameplate, attractive TB yields threaten banks' savings mobilization. TB is not tuberculosis this time. It has to do with treasury bills. It says, attractive treasury bills yields threaten banks' savings mobilization, because the interest rate on savings is far lower than you have on treasury bills. So, and another one, the Buhari federal government tackling suicide bombings. That's on page 12. That story on Boko Haram and the atrocities, you find that as the lead for the Independent newspaper. It says, Boko Haram overruns Borno town, kills 3 soldiers and injures 6. Also there, Sultan warns against killing of Fulanis, says silence, not weakness.
That caption bio overruns Borno town. Is that what it is?
That's for the Independent. That's the lead story for the Independent.
Yes, it's the clash in Numan area between herders and farmers, and it's getting out of hand. Already the Inspector General of Police was in Adamawa, and he has positioned 5 troops of mobile police to stem that. But the other one is the story that Kingsley read, another acronym, COTRIMCO. That is Corruption Trial Monitoring Commission. They have swung into action and have established 4 committees. One is to look at the practice direction, the other is for training, and the other one was the engagement on management. Already, they have received 2,306 list of alleged cases, and they are now set to work on them. The distribution is into 3 zones. They've divided the nation into 3 zones. Abuja is zone A, the south is zone B, and the north is zone C. So you have 3 zones: Abuja, the north, and the south.
Bye. Your time is up, and we again, as always, appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you for your usual yellow card.
I haven't issued you a yellow card today. All right, Kingsley. We'll take a short break now. It's Good Morning Nigeria. We'll be right back.
The Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment, in collaboration with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture, the Made in Nigeria campaign. In the midst of unprecedented multiple challenges, our great country Nigeria, as Africa's largest economy, is surely marching on to a new era of all-round prosperity, especially through re-engineered and diversified economy, powerfully driven by the change agenda of President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR.
We will patronize local entrepreneurs. We will promote the manufacturing powerhouses. Our objective is to make Nigeria a new manufacturing hub.
It is not time to complain. It is time to join the campaign. It is time for economic recovery, growth and diversification of our economy. Buy Made in Nigeria.
Straight A's mean better days. On those days I worry, my mind's so blurry. Studied every chapter, still can't find the answer. Always is the answer with its comfortable top layer and reliable protection with Super Gel. No stain, no gel. I know I'll get straight A's. Straight A's mean better days. Our future starts today. Stay happy always.
Now for only 150 naira, get the new Always Pocket Money Pack.
Whenever pain occurs, you want quick relief. Try new Nurofen Express. It goes to the source of pain and gets to work in under 15 minutes. That's why Nurofen Express delivers fast and effective relief. New Nurofen Express works at the source of pain. Fast.
Being a mom is great, but when your child has a fever, you don't know what to do. I trust Nurofen for Children to take care of my child's pain and fever.
Effective relief you can trust.
Dettol team is visiting schools to teach children how to protect themselves from diseases. Do you know how we get illnesses like diarrhea, cough, and cold? No! They are spread through germs which are everywhere. You collect germs that cause diseases. You pick up germs from any surface, like when you don't wash your hands after going to the toilet while playing. And then you can get sick because of germs. That's why you need to fight germs to stay healthy by washing your hands and taking your bath with Dettol soap to protect from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Wash, wash, wash your hands. What you have to do is bath yourself. Dettol soap every day. Wash, wash, wash your hands.
Hate speech is not a joke. It incites genocide and crimes against humanity. Most of Africa's civil wars are caused by hate speech from one tribe against another. We don't want it here. The Nigerian government stands firm against hate speech.
I was distressed to notice that some of the comments, especially in the social media, have crossed our national red lines by daring to question our collective existence as a nation. This is a step too far.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, Sir Ahmadu Bello, Chief Obafemi Awolowo.
These patriots worked together to achieve independence for one united Nigeria. Although some may say Nigeria is a mistake, we all know that the Almighty never makes mistakes.
God has not made a mistake by bringing us all together in the way that He has brought us together. God has put us together here so that we can build a community that will be an example to the entire world.
One nation bound in freedom, peace and unity.
Nigeria, one nation, one people.
This is a public service announcement brought to you by NTA.
All right, this is Good Morning Nigeria, broadcasting live on the network service of the NTA. Today we're discussing that despicable act of selling migrants in Libya, or what we call the return of the second trans-Saharan slave trade. Only this time, the difference between the first slave trade and this one is that this one is perpetrated by Africans upon Africans. But let's listen into Omojola's background report.
Broadcast of a CNN report on migrant slave market in Libya has sparked global discourse on the state of illegal migrants trapped in Libya in their quest to make it to Europe. Humans sold for as low as $400. The pathetic story of Victor, a young Nigerian from Edo State, is a proof of the authenticity of the allegations.
I was sold.
What happened?
On my way coming, I was sold. Merciless beating. If you look at most of the people here, if you check their body, you see the mark, they're beating. With electric, even your boot or they took something like a sharp object. Understand? Most of them lost their life there. I was there, the person who came to buy me give the man money. They take me out home. So the money was not even much.
It is a long way home for Victor, and so is it for many more West Africans who, like him, are trapped in hell. Nigerians reportedly constitute a large number of the slaves being sold in Libya. The world is enraged, rising up against humans in cages sold as pieces of merchandise. Meanwhile, Libyan authorities reportedly say they are ignorant of the situation. Ordinary Libyans have, however, responded with pictures. They are posting selfies on internet portraying happy relationships with other Africans. A clear contradiction of the testament of those directly involved.
Working the work, they will be beating you when you are working the work. I'm doing your work. They will be maltreating us.
Nigeria is still dealing with the unfortunate death in the Mediterranean of 26 teenage girls on the usual sea route to Italy. Now it is slave trade. What are the issues arising? Is it a question of human rights violation? How should Nigeria and the world deal with this? And why do Nigerians continue on this trip to perdition, even as more Nigerians are brought back home daily from Libya? Does anyone have any idea of how many Nigerians are caught up in this slave trade? Join us as guests take a critical look at the situation.
Omojola, thank you for that background report. Now we have guests with us in the studios as well as remote locations to discuss this issue in greater detail. First, we'd like to welcome with us here in the Abuja studios Nigeria's former ambassador to Libya, Ambassador Mohammed Kau Ibrahim. He served in Libya from 2004 until 2008. Ambassador Ibrahim, a pleasure to you're here with us this morning.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Also here with us in the studios is a former Deputy Comptroller General of Immigration and now International Director, Conflict Resolution and Migration Awareness Initiative, Dr. Braska Ifeadi. Dr. Ifeadi, a pleasure to have you with us on the program. All right, Claire.
Yes, Kingsley, we also have here with us the Director, Legal and Prosecution, National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons and Other Related Offences, NAPTIP, Abdul Rahim Shaibu. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Nigeria.
And we go over to our Benin Network Center, where Executive Director, Patriotic Citizen Initiatives, a returnee and now an advocate, migrant mentor, and trainer, as well as a consultant on migration issues, Osita Osaneme. Osita, thank you once again for joining us on this conversation.
Yeah, thank you very much and good morning.
All right, Kingsley.
All right, yeah, we will be joined by Nigeria's Chargé d'Affaires in Tripoli, that's in Libya. It's Elia Fachano. This will be a telephone conversation that we're going to have with him. We tried to establish Skype connection, but that didn't quite work out. If our engineers have sorted out the links with him right away, we could do that now to get in touch with Nigeria's Chargé d'Affaires in Libya. That's Elia Fachano. We have him.
All right,
just before we, because we want to start a conversation with him instead of beginning the discussion here. Let's just take a short break and then we'll get back to you to start the program.
All right, Kingsley, I think we'll just bring in Osita. Osita, you know, you've got a whole lot of experience. I remember on this program, you did share your own experiences and, of course, how you are helping, you know, to curb whatever. But let us look at, how can you capture what is happening in Libya? Is it really the return of the second slave trade?
Yeah, thank you very much. Over the years, it has been in existence, but it's unfortunate that it became very rampant now. And maybe as a result of the demand for the human beings in terms of human resources, and also the demand for organ harvesting. So for years now, people have been sold in different ways for slavery. I remember during my time, I always share it where they were selling our girls into slaves and using them for sex slavery. But now, the men have now taken over, especially in the area of using them for menial jobs and also for organ harvesting. So now, I think the increase as a result of the demand and is highly, is terrible and is a sad one. It's a sad one.
All right, Osita, we really want to thank you, but again, I think we've got the Shares Affairs online now, and Kingsley, you want to put the first question?
That's right. Ilya Fachano, we're trying to get across to you a moment ago. If you can hear us, welcome. This is Good Morning Nigeria. It's a live program, as you know, on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority.
Yes, good morning, I can hear you now. The Libyan authorities summoned the African diplomatic group to the foreign office and deny the story about the slave trade in Libya. And we should convey to our various government that they reject that report and that they are going to investigate and punish perpetrators of such inhuman acts in Libya. We have conveyed to our various government this position of the Libyan government. But indeed, the trafficking in human trafficking is taking place here, and indeed, even Nigerians involved in selling Nigerians for labor for sex here, and we receive reports from the Nigerians detainees, for Nigerians victims of such practices. That is what is happening now. As a group, we are going to African diplomatic group. We are still going to have a meeting with the Hot Foreign Ministry. They say they will call us when they are ready for us to debate the issues. And right now, a team, a delegation from African Union, has come to Libya to see the Libyan authority on this matter. African Union is okay with the matter.
All right. Do we know exactly how many Nigerians are caught up in this web, both those that are perpetrating the act in Libya and how many are victims in Libyan cells? Do we have a number, statistics?
Well, we have a lot of Nigerians involved in such things. Each week we are going to have about, we received a report from the Libyan authorities about the detention of about 5,000 Nigerians in the Ghanaian detention camp in the west of Libya. So, as we, in collaboration with IOMO, there are lists with different migrants in Nigeria. Some are ready to take off to come to Libya. So, as we rightly observe, we don't know why, when we sensitize even the Nigerians to the dangers of illegal migration, due to detention and torture, they still come. That question is what we don't know. But perhaps what is behind it, there is syndicate, both here and in Nigeria, unless those syndicates tight control put on border and so on and so forth, and even the immigration people are checked, but phenomenon continue to increase. Right now we have 5,000, we have other detention centers already, because of the security, we cannot go to basically all the detention centers, but we have created about 3 detention centers we are going to visit this week.
I'm wondering, Mr. Elia Fachano, well, thanks a lot. Where exactly in Libya are these Nigerians being traded? Is it in Tripoli, is it in Benghazi, or some other remote location?
Right. They are spread over. Some are in detention camp in Tripoli, some are in Nigerian, in the western part of Libya, some are in Seba. That Seba is more dangerous for us to visit. So we are not going to save because of the security reason. Right now there is no effective government in Libya because there are 3 rival governments. Each people is sovereign in its own area, and each government has its own militia. We don't translate. So that accounts for really the victim of this slave trade. There are some areas government cannot trace its control to. So guys take over our operations there. And that's why this is happening. So we hope that the whole government will be able to track, as they say, 1 minute remaining.
I'm just wondering, just if we are unable to get in touch with you after this point, we'll come back. We'll try to re-establish the connection. You were talking about the security situation, and some observers are wondering how the trafficking continues in spite of the sometimes grave security situation that you just referred to. We know that, of course, there has been no effective government since the collapse of the Gaddafi regime in 2011.
Yeah. In any state where government control, policing is not effective, crime is falling from the looking. So the borders and the crossing here, the traffickers are in line with the criminals to do that. As you rightly observe, we normally deceive their victims when they are already here and they have no choice not to kill them.
Your call credit has been exhausted and your call terminated. Dial *606#.
All right, that's the much. Once we are able to re-establish links again with Elia Fachano in Libya, that's the Nigerian chargé d'affaires there at the mission, we will of course return to him to get further insight into what is happening with regard to the slave trade involving Nigerians in that country. Let's come back now to our studios and then of course get straight to Nigeria's former ambassador. I introduced him earlier, Ambassador Mohammed Kawu Ibrahim. He was Nigeria's ambassador from 2004 to 2008. Ambassador Ibrahim, give us your own perspective on this. How serious was the problem when you were an ambassador, and on the basis of what you are seeing today, are you surprised?
I'm not surprised at all, because forced labor, or if you like, call it some kind of slavery, had been going on in Libya, not only Libya, Mauritania, and a few other North African countries for some time. During Gaddafi, it was very difficult to do that because of one, there wasn't a breakdown in law and order. 2, Gaddafi was very friendly to many sub-Saharan African countries. Even among the security forces of Libya, for example, the Minister of Interior was a black man. There were so many generals, who were black in Libya, so that wouldn't, happen during his time. But immediately after Gaddafi's death, the situation changed dramatically. One, the Libyans were very angry, with the Africans, black Africans staying there, including their own citizens, because they believed that Gaddafi was taking all their money, bringing it to sub-Saharan Africa. And They are also not happy seeing that there are so many blacks in the Libyan armed forces. And truly, if you see the way some of the blacks in the armed forces conducted their lifestyle, you know, the average Libyan, you know, would have every reason, you know, to show grudges, you know, against them. During the civil war that lasted 80 months that led to the overthrow of Gaddafi, the majority of the fighting forces on his sides, you know, were black. And after that, there was a city called Tawarga, a black city in Libya. It was literally wiped out, literally wiped out. A lot of these migrants were caught in between. Many of them, including Nigerians, you know, were killed. But I don't know if you want me to take this issue, the immediate one now. I'm just giving you the background.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, take it on. I mean, what you're explaining appears to be racism, but take it on.
Yeah, but this issue, as I said, is not the only difference between what is happening now and what has happened before. Is just the mode of disposal of these commodities. What led to this? From the beginning of this year, there was an agreement between the Italian government and the Libyan army of Khalifa Haftar, to not the Libyan government. There are factions, you know, in Libya, to come in and control, you know, this trafficking. And these people are very ruthless, you know, and they succeeded in reducing, you know, the number drastically. So two things, you know, happen.
No, but if you're selling a fellow human being, that's not a way of reducing, you know.
No, I'm telling you, those the traffickers, those who are coming in, reduce. You know, just listen. So two things happen as a result of that. One, the traffickers were stranded with many of their victims, those that they have already come in with. They cannot take them across, they cannot get their money. So what do? They try to sell them to the farmers. You know, originally, most of the people working on the farms were not Nigerians. Those who are working on the farms were from Niger, from Burkina Faso and Mali, whose destination has always been Libya. The Nigerians, their destination, Libya is just a transit, you know, point to go to Europe. So now, with the drop in the migrants from Mali and this, they are no longer getting the farmers. So they have to look elsewhere, you know, to get the farmers. And those traffickers are stranded, you know, with hordes, you know, of traffic, of those who they have trafficked. So to reduce their loss, they started selling them.
But why will they prey on fellow Africans? Libya consider itself as not, you know, of African descent, because if you look at the geographical position of Libya, really, you know, it is quite cut off from, you know, the originating from the home countries of those migrants.
Look at it. You see, it's not just, if you look at it, there are 2 points. There's the demand and the supply. There's a demand for laborers to work on the farm. And the supply has been reduced, except those who are already in. And they wanted these people. It's not just the Libyans that are buying, but there are Africans also who are selling. The traffickers are not Libyans. When you have come in with hundreds of people that you have trafficked and you cannot get them across, what do? You cut your losses by selling them off. That's
where that's like chattel trading. Yes. That's what's happening. Ambassador MK Ibrahim, thank you very much. We'll come back to you for further explanation. Let's bring in now Braska Ifeade, who is a former Deputy Controller General of Immigration. Dr. Ifeade, of course, you're quite familiar with the background to all of this in terms of what has happened, and the video, part of the video clip that we played back in our background report, sourced, of course, from a report done earlier by CNN, together with the background provided by Ambassador and the Chargé d'Affaires in Tripoli. What is happening with regard to the fact that Nigerians who are amongst the Africans that are now being traded as slaves in Libya could, you know, make their way out of the country with almost no let or hindrance?
Thank you so much. And the problem is beyond the way you say it, because of the enormous porosity of the borders. The Nigerian Immigration Service over the years have been trying their best. The government have provided them a few support infrastructure to that effect. But unfortunately, the nature of the border is so porous and massive. And that is the issue. And the desert nature of the border also makes it very, very difficult. And that was why the Immigration Service has long been pushing for more action to be done along the borderline. For example, we have a lot of illegal entry points. And we felt that the best thing was to get more staff that can man this area, specifically for the border area. We went as far as, to establish a special border corps for that purpose. And all of them were trained in all aspects of the defense mechanism. Even most of them were trained in martial arts to make them be able to be equipped even without arms. Unfortunately, the borderline is so much. And we've been saying that apart from the control posts, that they should build what they call auto gate system in all the 147 points that have been identified. But we've not been able to achieve that.
Which states are the most porous in terms of trafficking in these would-be slaves?
It will be difficult to say which state because they prefer to use the area that you don't even have security forces on them, manning, because of the nature of the border. But I think the area in Katsina, Sokoto area and the Borno area are all the entry points. But we have a lot of illegal points. You see the problem about the boundaries of this country, a lot has to be done. You see a situation where along the borderline, the pillars of Nigerian boundaries are found in people's bedroom because of the contiguity of people living within the borderline. So they make it very difficult for you to check this influx or people going outside the country. So this auto-gate system, if it is built, then sub-bases in between control posts ought to be built so that you have more security forces along the line, immigration officers checking these places, well armed and well fortified. But when this is not done, it's very difficult, very difficult. And another thing, do I go ahead? Wow. Another thing that we have to look inward. That's what I will always call group negative thinking that had permitted the country. Where due to greed and materialism, people just want to get money at all costs, forgetting that it's not greener actually outside there.
Okay, let's put you on hold there. I'm bringing, of course, the Director, Legal and Prosecution of NAPTIP, Mr. Shaibu. A faction of the Libyan leadership has described what is going on when its attention was drawn as mere allegations. I don't know how NAPTIP will react to that.
Thank you so much. From all reports, this is a reality. So it cannot be mere speculation. What we would like to tell the public, particularly Nigerians, is that the federal government of Nigeria is very much poised for action to combat this heinous crime of human trafficking. And we have effective law in place in Nigeria to tackle this crime. And we also have law enforcement agencies that are collaborating together to ensure that this crime is combated. But incidentally, just like one of the guests has mentioned, we have to look inward to see that all our values that have changed, we have to take it back. Our youth should not start taking steps or measures that will hamper their future. That's why in NAPTIP, we carry out a lot of massive public enlightenment campaigns, all to the hinterlands, to educate our youth that they need not to travel when they don't have the right documents to travel. Because once you travel without documents, you are vulnerable. That is very difficult.
All right. Abdurrahim Opotu Shuaibu, thank you very much. You said earlier that the government, NAPTIP, is poised to do this. We are ready to combat it. This is a problem that is staring everybody in the face. I mean, the world is now fully apprised of what has happened. Nigerians are being sold as slaves in Libya, and the world is out there. And you are still talking about being poised to tackle the problem? NAPTIP has been in existence for many years now. Are you simply overwhelmed by all of this?
Not overwhelmed. That's what I'm telling you. Honestly speaking, the problem that we are seeing outside now, because before these people get out of Nigeria, one of the colleagues, guests have mentioned to you how porous our border is. NAPTIP is, we are not empowered to man the borders, but we collaborate with agencies that are empowered to man the borders. You know, so for them to get out in such a way, you know that we have a lot of framework in West Africa where once we have your passport, you can move. There's free movement of goods and human beings across West Africa sub-region. So they capitalize on that. So what we are saying that this thing has to do with inner mind for those who are taking this risk.
Yes, before we get back to the question of inner mind again, you talked about the persons jetting out, but the information would appear to be these are actually trekkers. You know, they go by road, not persons who are jetting out. If they were jetting out, of course, they will fly directly to Europe. And there's also the information that there is collusion, that the gangsters who are dealing these persons can be found in Nigeria, just as you find them in the receiving countries, Libya, for instance, inclusive. What is it that NAPTIP knows at the moment about the ring of trafficking in these human beings, and in fact, the ring of the second slave trade?
Yeah. For us in NAPTIP, we have our own enforcement in place in Nigeria to ensure that anybody caught, you know, recruiting people, because they engage in recruitment of these our youths by deceiving them. So if we are caught deceiving anyone to travel outside the country for whatever purpose, and it comes to NAPTIP's knowledge, we will arrest you. We have series of arrests. We have arrested over 5,000 persons, and we have prosecuted severally, and we have not less than 350 persons in jail. So enforcement is in place for us. We are doing that. But for those who found their way in these transit countries, particularly Libya, we are saying that they are highly misguided. They were misguided because they believe that it is so greener over there. They were deceived. And even for us, we do public enlightenment campaigns to people, but they hardly listen. Because
you know the question Kingsley asked you, yes. Because you still haven't told us, because NAPTIP is very central to this discussion. The report that CNN gave out identified 9 coastal areas where these victims are housed or caged, or camped. Now, he is saying, does NAPTIP have an idea of these rings, and have you gone ahead to identify how many Nigerians are, caught up in these areas?
Okay, thank you so much. Well, I would tell you that we don't operate in those coastal areas. We operate from Nigeria axis, and we only collaborate with Ministry of Foreign Affairs and our embassies abroad to get information regarding what happened outside Nigeria, because we don't have the ability to know all those things that happen outside Nigeria. We collaborate with Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so they will be very much in a better position to really give this answer to this your question.
Okay,
we'll come back to you to contextualize all of this, because if you are waiting for, I don't know how much capacity there is in terms of intelligence gathering by NAPTIP. That's why I asked the question whether NAPTIP is overwhelmed by what's going on. If you are in the past you arrested 5,000 persons, and now you are seeing the population of potential slaves from Nigeria being trafficked from Nigeria, the population is growing, as we've seen in the various videos there. What do you know about those so-called gangsters who are recruiting these persons? What do you know about the rings? How can the chain be broken?
Yeah, we have been for those, those traffickers, most of them actually are based outside Nigeria, if you would like to know that, and they get in touch with their own contacts here in Nigeria to have these people recruited for them. So we understand that link, and what we do is to ensure that any youth in Nigeria does not make unsafe journey We don't have any ability to be able to, tackle them over there. But we prevent our people from going out.
Let's put you on hold and bring in Osita Osaneme, of course, who is a consultant on migration issues himself. Of course, had a whole lot of experience, and he's now a migrant mentor. Osita, you want to tell us, you want to respond to this question: how much does of course, the authorities here in Nigeria, understand the ring, know, how these despicable art is played, how this racket, racketeering is conducted, and are we doing enough?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so far so good. Let's say in the past 2 years, there have been a kind of improvement from the government, especially with the collaborations now existing with National Commission for Refugees, NAPTIB, IOM, Nigerian Immigration Service. But I would say that we are still far from there, because we still need to be a little bit proactive. Because, like I always say, these human smugglers and traffickers are very, very active. They work 24 hours, and I see it that somehow the government, there's a gap between what is happening, the modern trend, and the approach the government is using. The government, in a way, is using a kind of, the approach is a little bit weak. It's not strong to the extent that they can combat this issue of smuggling and trafficking in Nigeria. Considering the fact that a lot of people that have been trafficked and a lot of people that have been smuggled, when they return back, are neglected. And most of these people are frustrated and are stranded on the street. And they are being used as tools. They now see it as a business, a lucrative business, to begin to recruit people to also go and keep them stranded in the desert or go and die in the Mediterranean Sea. So if you watch, the majority of the smugglers and traffickers in Nigeria are those that have experienced this journey in one way or the other. And the reality on ground now is that everybody is involved in this trafficking process, including our parents and the families. So if we begin to see it now as a big problem, and government begin to change the approach, because they are looking at it from the statement that was just made, that some of these traffickers are in Europe. Yes, they are in Europe. Those are the end, that is where the demand ends. But the beginning of the demand, whereby now, parents now demand for their children to be taken abroad. Those days, the young ones see it as an opportunity for them to go and make money. But now, parents now go and look for traffickers and people that will assist them to take their children abroad. So you can see that the trend, and I know that some of these trends, they don't know about it. And we should begin to see it as a way of using some of these trends to see how we can reach out to our children, reach out to our parents, reach out to our communities, and bring up preventive measures. Government should come out with proactive preventive measures that can curb this menace, because, like I said, 7 years ago, when I returned back, I told the government, I wrote to the presidency, wrote to a lot of people, I told them that if care is not taken in 7 years' time, and we are in 7 years now, that this thing will overwhelm Nigeria. And it is really overwhelming, because as I'm talking to you now, only in Benin, we have over 3,000 people on ground. We have in Delta State, we have almost 1,200 or 2,000 in Delta State. In Lagos, we have thousands of people that have returned just from Libya. We're not talking from other countries, and people are still canvassing and recruiting people. As I'm talking to you now, people are going out of the country. See, so we should engage the citizen in a more proactive way so that these things can be curbed.
Osita Osaneme, thanks a lot. It's still on the cycle of trafficking. What exactly do we know about the methodology of the traffickers, of the recruiters, if you like? There are all kinds of things that we hear they do, but what is the insider knowledge?
They go through a lot of processes, They go through a lot of processes. First of all, during the canvassing, if you go to them, they make it look so easy for you, and they take you through a process of putting fear into you, and making you take oath, especially for the ladies that are being used for sex slavery. They take them through a process of oath taking. and put them in bondage so that when they move, they will never ever reveal their secret. You know, for men who are being sold into also slavery or for menial jobs, they also take them into such bondage so that they don't leave them on the way. You know, and at every point from either Delta State or Edo State or Lagos State or your state, there is a link. You know, there is a link between from the state to the border, and there is a link from the border to wherever you're going to. At every point, there is a link. There is somebody receives you, somebody takes you from there, and most of these transit camps or transit houses or along when you are traveling to Europe by road are being owned by Nigerians. Especially some of them are being owned by Nigerians who were stranded and decided to start up the business because they are these ones that work with some of these Libyans and Spanish citizens and Italian citizens, you know, exchange them for different trades, you know. So they have a sophisticated way of carrying out their transactions and carrying out their job. And at every point in time, they have people on ground, especially in Nigeria, to be taken to Europe. Now they are now resulting. Now Libya is almost like there's a problem now in Libya because of what has been happening now. A lot of things have been exposed. Now they have resorted to different means in Nigeria. They are going to Saudi Arabia, they go to Qatar, they go to Dubai, and they still have this kind of detention camps in some of these countries I've just mentioned. You know, some they move them out maybe through Ghana, they move them out through Mali. You know, they take them now. So the traffickers are very active. When they see that a particular route is becoming a problem to them, they change to another route. You know, so they have methods that you cannot measure enough.
Thank you for those, of course, revelation. But let's bring in the former ambassador, Ibrahim. You were nodding in disagreement earlier on when Usita started to talk about what government is doing. I'm wondering what part don't you agree with in what he has said?
Well, I think I will be very frank. Out of 10, probably I will give government 4. This problem has been going on for the past 30 years. It has been increasing. If there was serious effort to combat it, we would have started seeing some effect. Now, 90% of those who travel to Libya, the migrants, they start their journey from Agadez. Agadez is in Niger Republic. There's absolutely no reason on earth why Nigeria should not approach the government of Niger to make sure that this starting point something is done, about it. Indeed, the economy of Agadez is based on this trafficking. There are safe houses there. Almost every house in Agadez is a safe house. And this has been going on, as I said, for over 30 years. Now, I was in Libya, and I have taken active interest to see what can be done to reduce this thing. If you look at the embassy in Tripoli, now there are only 4 staff there. We're talking of over, when the charges say 5,000, I was just laughing. At any given moment, there are over 20,000 Nigerians who are trying to cross, to Europe through Libya. And there are only 3 or 4 staff. And between Tripoli and the entry point, Sabha, is over 2,000 kilometers. What do you want those 3-4 people to do?
So Ambassador, what you are saying is that there appears to be no sufficient recognition of the enormous challenge
not at all.
that this poses to even the diplomatic and consular operations.
That's why I'm saying what stops us from getting a consulate in Sabha to assist the 3, 4, 5 people who are 2,000 kilometers away. And I say we know 90% of these traffickers go through Agadez in Niger Republic. The ECOWAS protocol, there they can travel from Nigeria up to that point, but they don't, Libya is not in the ECOWAS. So how do they pass through?
Very pertinent questions. So of course, Agadez was also there during the trans-Saharan trade. It was one of those routes, not minus the slave. It was there, Fez, Fezzan, Agadez, and the other places.
Let me just...
All right, just before we continue, just before we come back to our guests, we'll take a short break now.
Can I see your particulars, sir?
Officer, my particulars no dey here.
In that case, you'll have to come with me to the police station.
Officer, which level? Where I for find you something make you take arrange your weekend.
What? Offense number 1, driving without particulars. Offense number 2, trying to bribe an officer of the law.
I won't harass Nigerians or take bribe. Change begins with me.
This message is brought to you by the National Orientation Agency in conjunction with the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
If you hear a bomb explosion or gunshots of an active shooter, that might be a terror attack. At such times, always remember 3 action words. Run, hide, report. Don't try to run towards the terror scene to save the situation, because there might be a second bomb blast or another attack. Run far away and take cover. Make sure you are safe first. Yes, it is in our nature to sympathize over the hurt, but remember, only trained personnel can help in such situations. When in a secured environment, promptly call relevant authorities and help will come. For anonymous reporting, call 09630-3250-5 or 0813-2222-106. If you see something, say something. Nigeria, unite against terrorism. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
Sedap Supreme Noodles, capturing the tasty goodness. It's the Sedap Supreme chicken essence that gives it the truly delicious chicken taste. With real chicken essence. Be Supreme, Nigeria.
Shola, come and help me. You need to learn.
But I'm more interested in drawing.
How are you going to be part of the business if you don't learn?
You just don't understand.
Morning. Anyone for some Lipton?
The rich taste of Lipton awakens body and mind.
Let me have a look at your drawings. Son, these designs are amazing!
Lipton Yellow Label Tea. Awaken to what really matters.
All right, welcome back. We still have all our guests with us here in the Abuja studios as well as our Benin Network Center. And also when we re-establish links with Ilya Fachano, the Charge d'Affaires in Tripoli, we will get back to get his comments. Just before we went on the short break, Ambassador Ibrahim was elaborating on what we thought should have been the appropriate national governmental response to the challenges that the trafficking in persons presents, together, of course, now with what is obviously a slave trade. Ambassador Ibrahim.
Thank you. Let me quickly say that we now know that there are at least 9 cities in Libya where this trading is taking place. My serious concern is that out of these 9, 2, that's Sabha, which is the nearest city to Niger, where 90% of Nigerians going to Tripoli pass through that place. And if that is it, the point where this trading is taking place, it calls for serious concern. The second city is called Gadamos. This Gadamos is a place where there are 3rd-generation Nigerians who have been there in the last 100 years. And this trafficking is, this auctioning is taking place there. It calls for concern because this is a place where Nigerians also feel safe because, there are Nigerians of 2nd, 3rd generation there. If it has reached these 2 cities...
It has also reached Sabha.
Yeah, well, Sabha, that's the most serious thing because that's the point where most Nigerians start their journey into Libya through Sabha.
I was wondering, Ambassador, you said that the problem has been on for, say, the past three decades, which would coincide, of course, with the onset of some of the disastrous consequences of the Structural Adjustment Program, which was launched in 1986. But how then would you factor in the perception at some point in the past that, okay, Libya seemed to have been a relatively richer country, that the standard of living or the per capita income was much higher. If you were doing a laborer's job, you could earn sufficient money, you know, to come back home, and then of course, you know, settle for on a much better course. How is that part of what you are describing now as this illegal immigration that has now gone into the slave trade?
I think two things. One, there was the massive propaganda of Gaddafi. But the second thing is also Gaddafi is trying to use Africa as a pawn in his problem with European countries. At one point, he encouraged Africans to move into Libya and even pushing them, you know, across to cause problem for the Europeans. They had to realize Gaddafi's importance to call him and start negotiating with him. And actually, he's just using it as a diplomacy to see how he could solve his own problems, you know, through using these migrants, a threat, you know, to Europe. If you don't listen, you don't give me what I want, I push these people to you. And eventually, they had to listen to him. So we're just used as a pawn, you know, in this game. You know, it's a geopolitics.
Okay. We'll soon be rejoining, of course, the Charge d'Affaires, Ilia Fachano in Libya. But let's get to Osita Osaneme's response. Osita, beyond Libya, do we know of other countries within the fringes of the Mediterranean that are also involved in this auctioning return of the you know the slave trade in humans?
Yes, we are talking about Libya now because of what is happening now, the awareness that the slave trade and the death of the 26 girls has caused. But you have Morocco. Morocco is always the original destination for the traffickers. But at the end of the day, most of these people end up through Libya. Then you have Algeria. You know, we have detention camps in Morocco. We have detention camps in Algeria, where also some of these slave transactions are going on, you know. But Libya now, because of the modern, what is happening now. So we, along the Mediterranean shores, you have the countries like Morocco, you have, because like last time I visited Morocco, I was to go to the Tangier, where you have a lot of Nigerians trying to cross, you know. So Morocco is predominant there. Algeria is also very high there. You know, we know they are very close. They are the North Africa and close to each other, where they can cross across to make their trip to Europe, Spain and Italy.
Osita, thank you very much. Again, we'll keep you on pause and return to Ilia Fachano, the Charge d'Affaires in Tripoli. Well, of course, we've been discussing the background to all of this, what has happened, and some of the challenges. We have a former Nigerian ambassador, Ambassador Ibrahim, with us here in the studios. Well, we appear to have lost that connection to Ilia. I was just going to ask him, you know, how much information they have about the Nigerians at the moment who are in various detention centers, whether they've been able to establish whether they've taken a census of that. But let's bring in again Dr. Braska Alifadi. Dr. Braska Alifadi, the description of, you know, of the cycle of the network of the business would appear to be something that it's intriguing. Is the immigration aware of all of this and not just saying, okay, the borders are porous, X, Y, Z? Do they have a sense of what's going on and then where perhaps to intervene? Yeah, to the best of their resources.
Well, the Nigerian Immigration Service is fully aware. I have been doing so much, and that's what I told you, that a special border patrol corps was established, and they've been fully functional. Unfortunately, like I said, if you don't have enough men to, you know, take care of, monitor the entire length and breadth of the porous border.
Where do you deploy their men to? I mean, where does immigration deploy its men to?
We deploy our men on these natural borders, but the areas is so sand infested, you cannot have your men there when it's totally unprotected. So that's why we've been advocating the point that sub bases should be built. If you have a control, can I give you a particular example?
Yes, go ahead.
If, for example, in Ilela, you have, you know, a good biometric point where every facility, the auto-go system is well established. In between that and the other places, you need more of sub-bases so that you have more men that can quickly both on ground and even by air, be able to identify this movement. But when you don't have it, it's a big problem. If you go through some of the borders, you pity the officer. When you have this sandstorm, hot, you see a lot of officers, we lose a lot of officers, but it is not normally published. So these are the issues I think should be done. And again, you had said we should leave the inner part of the discussion. But I think a massive campaign should be done within, so that our children should know that.
I didn't say you should leave that portion. I said let's
establish. For now, I said for now.
Yes.
You understand me? That we should leave that discussion for now, because I think probably you want to get there. But I think this campaign, thorough sensitization, should be done within, so that these are parents will know that encouraging their children to go abroad is of no use. You heard what Osito Osemele said. He happened to be my boy. Before he took off from the journey, he was in my house inside my brother. And that's why I'm well grounded in all this thing, because I've been an advocate that people should understand the truism of what obtains abroad, that there's no greener pasture there. Even in the United States, you see our relations who are there who want to come back home, but out of shame, they don't know how to come home. So in this area, I think we should go down out. The government should come full blast. Make these people know that it is not to their own benefit. Now, before it was, the story before was just irregular migration. Now with the CNN publication, everything has come on air that the issue of slavery is now the real thing, where they go through a lot of torture. Now, if you look at the history of Libya, slave trade in Libya has a long history, way back 16th to 19th century. So it had permeated the culture. And that was why nothing was done. You know, when Gaddafi was there, because of his very tough position, it was under control. But immediately he left, with the conflict that is now there, that is so endemic, every place has become so normal. So I think immigration should be well equipped.
We are stretching home now. You've started talking about, of course, a way out. And I'm going to ask gentlemen, this is not just a Libyan question.
That's right.
This is not just a Nigerian question. There are other African countries that are also, that have victims in all of this. So it's an African question. So what can Africans, possibly do to begin to help,
All right, Claire, I think just before they take, we get their views on what the response should be continent-wide, or sub-Saharan Africa, for some Sub-Saharan African countries. Let's take reactions from our viewers from the tweets that have come. Bandong Joshua tweets, to be candid, the ever-greedy and fast money-making ones always take advantage of the poor and less privileged to lure them into this high-risk venture.
Okay, Dele Jack Solomon tweeted, it saddens me that West African migrants, especially Nigerians, are being bought and sold openly in modern-day slave markets in Libya. Now, many have been violated, extorted, slaved, and killed in Libya and other parts of the world due to craves for riches. Nigerians must be informed. God gives wealth.
Habila Kwara Zakshi tweets, inasmuch as I blame those embarking on such dangerous journeys, the Nigerian government has over time failed the citizens in providing basic needs.
And Hassan Labran tweets, federal government should on regular basis be informing Nigerians having the spirit of traveling abroad via that medium of the dangers.
Sonny Michael Makoji, torture, human trafficking and abuse have become an appalling reality of a fractured Libya ever since NATO intervention on the fall of Gaddafi in 2011. Africans unleashing dehumanization on Africans in Libya after the exit of the strong man. It's so unfortunate, he writes.
And Abdul Hamid Ado tweets, honestly, I cannot blame the government for these dangerous missions. The root cause of the problem is a faulty and unrealistic dream that usually beclouds our desires. That is, get rich quick, anyhow. Unless that is revisited, it seems barely controllable.
Ajisaffinit tweets, the federal government can curb this menace using only one strategy. That is, put more effort in making Nigeria a better place to live in.
And Festus Akimboiwa tweets, federal government should move quickly to evacuate Nigerian migrants from Libya and spread awareness across Nigeria of the horrors of human trafficking.
Sani Michael Makoji again, African leaders are mute on this issue. Because if they protest too much, the largesse coming from Europe in the form of loans and grants might be hindered. It's shame on them, and it's time for them to come out of mental laziness and work for their people.
And again, Festus Akimboyewa tweets, Nigerians should know that Nigeria is by far better than many European countries and stop risking their lives. Even if they manage to get to Europe, 99% of them will be sent back to Nigeria.
Victor Ohioswama tweets, the migrant slave market is inhuman. They pay about 500,000 naira to travel to Europe through Libya. Can such money not be used to start a business here in Nigeria? And
Omogbola Babs states, the social media is a veritable tool in addressing some of these quagmires. The same social media plays a big role in encouraging helpless Nigerians to engage in such fruitless trips. Why can't government agencies like NAPTIP, NOA and others employ use of social media too to sensitize the public?
And we have this from Hadil Das. It says, they are looking for greener pastures, and come to think of it, if they establish a business with the 500,000 naira that they pay, there isn't a 70% assurance of gaining. This is Nigeria, and after a few months, they won't be able to calculate the whereabouts of the cash.
And Shakiro tweets, parents sponsor their children to embark on the journey. The major road to Libya is Kanu. Federal and state governments should, through any information, let citizens be aware of the effect of the journey. Security officers are at our borders and not effective.
All right, we have this one now from Victor Ohioswama again. It says the various government agencies should ensure that the slave cartel is dismantled. Libya is a failed state. I wonder why Nigerians are still going there.
All right, and Dike Samuel tweets, well, the basic reason for some Nigerians to still embark on this despicable journey is for a greener pasture, which they cannot get back here. I implore the government to embark on a serious awareness campaign about the track down smugglers that are into this slave market.
All right, those are some of the tweets that we have in the meantime. Just to go back to Osita Osaneme in our Benin Network studios. Osita Osaneme, let's, what do we know about the socio-economic status of these persons who are trafficked? I'm asking this, are these persons who went to school at all? Are these persons who were formerly employed in Nigeria? That's one leg. Next leg would then be, why do they appear deaf to all forms of counsel and persuasion not to embark on what turns out oftentimes to be a perilous journey?
Yeah, sorry, please, can you come again with that question? It's not clear.
All right, the first leg of my question is this. What do we know about the socio-economic status of persons who are trafficked? By that I mean, what is their level of education on the average? Were they persons who were formerly employed in Nigeria, probably lost their jobs? That's one leg. And secondly, why is it that those who allow themselves to be trafficked or those who present themselves to be trafficked appear to be deaf to all forms of persuasion not to embark on this perilous journey?
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. The categories of those that are really involved or victims of this trafficking or smuggling of migrants cuts across all levels. You have those without the formal education, and you have those with secondary school level, primary Cs. Then you have those with tertiary institution. You have undergraduates and graduates, those who have even served. So it cuts across all levels, you know, of the categories that we have just mentioned. You know, because I remember even on transit, I saw some persons, you know, that were out of school, that were undergraduates, even from the universities in Nigeria. Then we saw some that have just finished their secondary school and been moved out of the country. Then you have a lot of graduates. Then you also have people who have abandoned their job. On the trip there, I saw some even so people that left the military, people that left the Nigerian police force. They were en route to Europe, a lot of them. You know, the truth is that we have refused to even find out or listen to some of the realities on ground in Nigeria. You know, when people comment, I wonder how what of the kind of comments they make. Everybody is actually involved with these things when we really hear the truth. And because of the nature of the kind of people that are involved in this transaction, they go out in their way to tell you that, yes, once they have noticed that you are desperate and you really want to go to Europe, you are falling prey to their whatever they have told you. You know, the desperation is there. Nobody will tell you that there's going to be death in the desert. Nobody will tell you that. And that desperation that is in that youth or the victim who is now going to go to Europe, you know, the desperation is so high that whatever you tell that person, he will tell you, until I get to Europe, I will not listen to you. For me, like I said, I always use myself as an example, because when you are desperate, until you get to the last point, you don't listen to anybody.
All right. All right,
that's Osita. Thanks a lot. We're trying to get back to Ilya Fanacho, who is the Charge d'Affaires in Tripoli. Ilya, if you can hear us now, very quickly, have you been able to interact with any of the Nigerians in recent times in any of those so-called detention centers where they are being traded as slaves? And what did you find when you got there?
Yeah, I do interact with them. In some of the detention centers, the living condition is really horrible, and they normally narrate their ordeal, kind of torture, lack of enough food. I need to quickly give a clarification on the statistics of the number of Nigerians we have identified. We have 5,000 in Nigerian detention camps, not the total, as the ambassador was saying. We have also 1,000 in Misrata. We have identified them. We have 2,000 Nigerians in detention camp in Tripoli. Yeah, this is the statistic. This is as of now, we have about not 8,000 there, but if you add 3 to 5, 8,000 Nigerians in 3 detention camps, Misrata, Garian, and Tripoli. Authority in the detention country, we have to identify, because they detain other nations too. So we go to identify and register them and prepare emergency travel documents for them. So those that we have identified are 5,000, as we made known to the embassy, and then one detention center in Misrata, 1,000, in Tripoli, 2,000, and we are waiting more.
Let me just ask this question, Ilya.
As they arrive,
Ilya, if you just
the question is that I've interacted with the
Ilya, if you just listen to me, we know that. Yeah, just listen to this question I'm about to ask, so you can respond. Yes, some Nigerians have been repatriated from Libya. They usually were airlifted and they landed at Murtala Muhammad Airport or in Lagos or at some other airport. That's what the Nigerian government has been trying to do. But what is it that, for instance, whichever authority is in control of the area where these detention centers are, has the Nigerian mission in any of those locations, whether in Tripoli? I don't know whether we have a consulate in Benghazi or elsewhere, but if we have a consulate, if we have a mission operating in Tripoli, have we been in touch with the government in effective control to go to those detention centers and then break them up?
Like I said, there are 3 governments. We have a different government under Tini, and also around that different area we have another government on Abuja. In Tripoli, we have Siraj here in a recognized government. But like I said, it doesn't have the power to combat the national government. We work through the Nigerian communities in those cities to get information from them regarding our detainees. We work closely with the Nigerian community leaders who have been on the ground, who know some of the residents, who know some of the Libyan people here, to take our mission. So, after interview, we get a lot of information about.
All right, Ilya Fachano, would like to appreciate your being with us via this telephone conversation. Challenging sometimes, charging the affairs of the Nigerian mission in Tripoli. Thanks again for your contribution to Good Morning Nigeria.
All right, Kingsley, let's bring in, of course, the NAPTIP director now, Abdurrahim Shaibu. I'm sure you watched the clips, we showed earlier on, and saw some of those in those cramped, cells, shouting to be brought back home. We know we've seen quite a number of Nigerians repatriated, but is total repatriation? Rwanda has volunteered to take in some of those, people and all that. Is repatriation such a big deal? Why is it a slow process?
Thank you so much. I wish to inform the public that the federal government of Nigeria has actually set up a committee, under the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation to look into ways of addressing all these issues, particularly in view of the 26 Nigerian women that died, which were already buried in Italy. So the federal government has taken proactive steps. In the next few weeks, Nigerians will see some steps, action by the Nigerian government to ensure that something is done.
Can we have some of those actions? What is it? Can you share with us?
Yeah. Well, I don't know the far-reaching insight. I told you that it is under the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation, and they have been meeting strenuously to see how this issue can be handled holistically and brought to an end. And for us in NAPTIP, I can assure you, what we have been doing is enormous. It's just that, it's not the entire public that will know everything we are doing. We are actually trying to see how we actually frustrate some of these journeys. When we discover that some of these journeys are risky, we don't allow them to go. They feel so bad. You can see the input by other guests telling you that these people, once they are desperate, they can do anything. They are prepared to die. Okay. But we do everything to ensure that we discourage them from going so that they don't go and die.
Okay. Ambassador Ibrahim, now Libya is signatory to the UN protocol on the prevention of human trafficking and all that. With the way things are, with the factional leadership, might it be possible to invoke that article?
It's going to be extremely difficult. It's going to be extremely difficult. I think Nigeria should show leadership in this thing. It's not affecting Nigerians. It's not affecting only Nigerians, even though Nigerians are the biggest victims. Ghana, Senegal, a lot of ECOWAS countries. What do I mean by Nigeria should show leadership? There should be an immediate meeting to find out how do we tackle this problem, because it's getting out of hand. Right now, it's only the AU that has made statement of outrage. I haven't heard much about Nigeria except probably condemning it. We should go beyond condemnation by this time, because the lives of these Nigerians are in serious danger. Because those who are in the eastern part of Libya, they are outside the control of even the Libyan government. They are in the hands of some terrorist groups. The Libyan National Army is a terrorist group, and they can do anything. No? So if we don't take immediate action, this thing can only get worse. And Nigeria has to take that responsibility of showing leadership. We have failed in doing that. It should go beyond just condemnation. And even the condemnation, I haven't heard much of this condemnation. Why is, which country do you say, Rwanda? Even though to me, bringing them back is not an issue. When I was ambassador, we brought back 2,700 Nigerians. And believe me, within the same month, some of them had gone back.
Some have suggested a kind of African countries should begin to employ, like ECOWAS, the protocol on free movement and open borders. Might that be a way of curbing the illegal or irregular migration, which of course would result in some of these despicable acts?
But that is part of the problem. Now Mauritania is coming back to ECOWAS. It wants to come back to ECOWAS. Morocco wants to join ECOWAS. And what does that mean? More and more people will now be going through these porous borders. ending up in Europe, and the problem would be on Nigeria. You see, it's not just people dying. It touches on the image and the prestige of Nigerians. If you go to the Libya, if you go to the our embassy in Rome right now, you will see children from Nigerian women from all kinds of human beings on earth. You know, you will see Italian children, you will see Mongolian children, you will see, you know, Chinese children, all crawling within the embassy. They are just damned there. For goodness sake, for how long should we continue?
All right, Ambassador Ibrahim, thank you very much. Let's just get the closing thoughts from Osita Osaneme in Benin. In terms of advocacy, how much do you see state and local governments, religious groups, NGOs, and others doing? Is the messaging out there about the hazards that these potential migrants face? I'm just asking Osita one more time. What would you like to see state, local governments, NGOs, churches, and other religious bodies do with regard to advocacy in campaigning against human trafficking, or allow yourself to be trafficked? I think that we have a challenge with that. Braska Ferdi. Yes.
I feel in this dimension, the government, first of all, should look inward in terms of the social contract between the government and the government. They should provide more jobs so that these children will have a job to do. Beyond that, there should be a massive campaign in churches, at mosques, within the local government, using even the kings and emirs and obis to permeate the public. The civil society, NGOs should be massively used, because now there is a caste. It is no more just irregular migration. We have now seen, like what the ambassador said, about the very poor image is given to Nigeria out there. And the fact that these people are sold and tortured, you know, and treated as if they are commodities. So these realities should be preached to the public massively. I think with that, if our people know that they are going to be tortured unnecessarily, they will sit back.
All right, Dr. Braska Fede, former Deputy Comptroller General of Immigration, thank you very much for participating in our conversation this morning. Our appreciation also to Abdurrahim Okpotu Shuaibu, the Director of Legal and Prosecution, National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP. Thank you very much for being part of our discussion this morning.
Thank you so much.
We also would like to thank Ambassador Ibrahim, that's Nigeria's former ambassador to Libya. He was there 2004-2008. Thanks a lot for your insights.
Thank you.
And of course, just to add that you had to come in from Kanu to join us for this conversation. We quite appreciate the sacrifice you've got to make.
Thank you.
All right, let's quickly, of course, let's appreciate from our Benin Center. I thought Kingsley had done that before. Our Osita Osaneme, who of course joined us from our Benin Center. Thank you, Osita, for your contributions. All right, let's quickly take sports now.
Smite, crackling atmosphere for the final chapter of this. Sane with the City corner, first of the afternoon.
Big victory.